It's just something I can put in the column. I'll do next Thursday, but I'll have it written beforehand. Probably the day before.
All right, I want to know how you've been.
I have been good. I've been making my favorite foods for my family and not eating them. The foods that are not on the protocol, which pretty much none of it was.
Mm-hmm. It's right. You were gonna have a party with some friends, and you were like gonna make some cocktails.
I made Mai Tais that they said were delicious. I made Kahlua pig, which is a Hawaiian dish, which is my absolute favorite. Didn't touch it. I mean, I didn't even taste anything.
But how about the aroma? Did you feel like you were on edge?
Not until when I made that meal with the drinks. I didn't. I was a little like, oh my God, it'd be so nice to have a cocktail. But I was like, hey, you know what?
I will
on the beach. You know?
That's right, in my bikini.
But on Sunday, I think it was, I made brunch and I made them this, Hawaiian bread French toast and all this stuff, and we barbecued that night. And then I was feeling kind of crappy, and I don't know how to explain. I made a chocolate fondue with fruit. I didn't even lick it off my fingers. I rinsed my hands when the chocolate got on it. Of course, I smelt the crap out of it first. Yeah, pretty much.
You're like, what's her name in SNL?
Yeah. My 13-year-old son was like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Good. Exactly. I just think there's nothing wrong with the smell, although,
Well, no, and I'm like, oh yeah, that, part of it is I couldn't taste it, so I kind of had to use my other senses, because I'm making the food. Yeah.
Well, and you're learning that you're not going to be vulnerable to it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the edge I'm talking about. It's like, you know what, you're not going to know where you're at until you kind of get close to the edge.
Yeah.
And you really got close.
Yeah,
so many people are really afraid of that. Yeah. They're like, I have to avoid everything because I am too afraid if I get close that I'm gonna lose it. Well, that's a sign that you don't even know where you're at. So get close, pull back. Get close, pull back.
Yeah, the chocolate was probably, the smell of melting chocolate was probably the toughest, but then I was fine with it. And then the next day, because I was kind of misemotional, like, I don't know, I was feeling kind of in a funk, but then I realized the next day I looked at the calendar and my boobs were hurting. I had total PMS. But then I realized I just conquered being around my favorite foods multiple times while PMSing.
Yes. And didn't you feel like trophy?
Yeah.
Where's the trophy?
No. I was like, oh, that's so much. It was so much better because that was always one of my excuses. I'm PMSing, I'm going to go pick up half a dozen cookies.
Like you're entitled to it because it's such a freaking hell hole.
Exactly. Because my uterus is shedding, I'm going to have carrot cake.
I know it. And that's awesome. I mean, imagine that your next period, you're going to be like, eh.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing I noticed this week is I'm not craving anything. It's like the cravings,
Well, how much of your cravings were caused from just excessive eating?
Oh, I would probably a lot.
So you're kind of
I'd probably say 70-80%. Yeah. I'm not, even when I made the food, it was like, oh, I knew it would taste good, but I wasn't, like, I'm not waking up craving anything anymore. I was getting hungrier, and then when you said add a little bit of protein, interestingly, it only took a few more bites.
I know.
Just knowing that I could add it, I think kind of calmed me down.
Yeah, because you're not, and this is really important, people here, but allowing extreme hunger is not okay.
Yeah.
This is where it's like, well, how many calories is this protocol? I'm like, I don't know, because it's based on hunger, and some people need 200, some people need 670. I don't know. It just is reliant on that sense of hunger because this is hormonally regulated, not calorically regulated. And it could be 2 bites to get you to where you're like, all right, I can sustain with this.
Yeah.
And it's probably your period.
Yeah, because I'm totally PMSing right now.
Well, and your hormones are kind of going haywire a little bit. It's being manipulated to where that HCG is not giving you enough leptin.
Yeah.
So maybe you're going to start in the next couple days.
Yeah.
Because it usually happens like right before.
Yeah.
Right when progesterone and estradiol, then you get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few more bites, and also like today I had some of my protein in the morning, which I hadn't been doing because I just really wasn't hungry. And I noticed that made a difference. I just kind of split it up.
Yeah.
And had enough of it then. But knowing that okay, I'm eating to hunger.
Yeah, and how could I have known this?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, Robin, what should I do? I'm like, I don't know. You figure that out. It's like, really? Yeah. Once you learn this, do you see now how just the fact that you can kind of feel and sense the body and know what it needs and how to prevent and move this around? It's like you're becoming such a master at your own body.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's just so valuable.
Yeah, and knowing too, like that I could do that, it was so, kind of freeing, and I really felt like, gosh, I could really, like week 3, I think it was somewhere between 3 and 4. I was thinking, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this for another week. But now I'm like, right now, today, anyways.
Yeah,
I feel like I could just eat like this,
I know, and you wanna, and it's almost can backfire because you're like, ooh, it's so comfortable. It's so like, the borders are made for you. Yeah. You don't have to make the decision because it's already made, and it's like living with your parents.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hungry, I'll eat a little bit of this. I'm hungry, I eat a little bit of this. I think it'll be a lot easier, after even the maintenance and going in to, kind of just eating what I want, but with hunger, I know I'm not going to be able to eat some of the foods I ate before, just by virtue of eating it without emotion. I don't know that I'd actually like it, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Because that happens all the time. You're like, I didn't even like what I was eating. I was just eating because someone said it was bad.
Yeah.
So therefore, I wanted it.
Like the thought of even, carrot cake, which was one of my favorite binging foods. Now I think about it, and I get like almost nauseous thinking about eating it.
Because it's very powerful.
Because I want to try a new one, and that's the other thing. How many times did I have freaking, carrot cake from the same place? How many times do I really need to eat it? I've had it.
I know it.
So if I'm going to try it, it needs to be from, and it goes back to the quality again. Some other place and really good, or it's, really give me a reason to try it.
Oh, I totally agree.
And of course, then being hungry.
Oh, and and to me, we're preparing you for when there are no boundaries, and you're now going to, by choice, use the same exact rationing that you need to understand you are rationing, not just eating by the hunger scale. Yeah. Rationing, meaning you're eating as little as you can, based on the body signal, as little as possible. So get over the fact that you're not going to get to be gorging it again. You know what I mean? It's like, this is something we want you to want to do permanently, because the physical outcome is so rewarding, not because of weight, but because you feel so good and young, and it's just so balanced, and you have more to live and more to do than to just eat. Yeah. So it really opens up more than just the door of health. Yeah, and
I had an epiphany about it in the last couple days about not, because I always thought, well, I can't throw it away. If it's something I can't save for some reason, but the food
you bought it away. But you can't. Yes, you can.
I know now. I know that, and I see it as being like, why? I've never been one to conserve on anything unless I had to.
I have my kids.
And I'm seeing that.
I have my kids, when they are done eating, I have them put it in the trash. So they don't have that attachment. And I will tell you, I still have that moment of, every time I put it in trash, and it's gone. I let it occur. Sure. But it's been hard, it's kind of one of those wasteful, and I do save food, but I intentionally have my kids throw things in the trash so they don't get, attached to.
And think you have to eat it.
That it's a waste if you eat it.
Yeah, it's actually, and what I realized in the last few days was it's more damaging to eat it and overeat than it is to throw it in the garbage, because you already paid for it. Yep. But if you overeat it, then it's dysfunctional eating,
causing damage to the body.
Exactly, and then you're going to be like messed up in the head about it because you did that.
The cost is way more profound.
Yeah, it's easier to just throw it in the trash.
I know.
Or give it to somebody else.
I'm glad you had that moment, recognizing that, because it's real. I tell a lot of people that, like, really? I'm like, well, why? It isn't wasteful. It isn't wasteful to throw that food away. If you really have an issue with it, put it back in the fridge. Yeah. Go back to it if you're hungry again. But it's like, if it's something that's gonna go to waste quickly, like salad that has dressing and wilts, do not finish that. Yeah. Put it in the trash or put it down the sink. One thing I always have in my memory too is when I was really ill and when I did purge, what I saw when it came back up was almost identical to what went in.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at it after the fact as like, what the hell? So I always have a visual of the food I'm eating, what it looks like in digestion. I'm not kidding. The most like crazy one was caramel.
Uh-huh.
And every time I have something with caramel in it, I literally think this is a wad of nasty, just like, it's like disease in my stomach.
Yeah.
And so I have a hard time with caramel now. Mm-hmm. Because I just remember what it looked like, and I'm like, so I eat it and it's sitting there just literally festering in my stomach and dissolving. And the joy was in the moment of eating, and now my body's having to recover all that damage. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I probably really grossed everybody out. But
yeah, bulimia, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. I learned a lot from what came back up. And it was, I always have that, I think about that a lot because I learned a lot too. And I remember questioning and asking, it's like, I ate that food, and I feel physically better because I was starving, but yet I just puked it back up. How is it that I still feel good? Mm-hmm. I knew there was something chemical, or there had to have been a reaction, because when I puked the food back up, even though I puked up the calories, I still felt like I had been fed. Mm-hmm. How do you explain that without the whole... But that was in like 1998. Leptin wasn't common knowledge.
Yeah, that's true. I did have a question on phase 2, no sugar and starch being the only guidelines other than the hunger scale. With the sugar, is it no like if sugar is in something?
Yeah.
Then it's no. Mm-hmm. So it's stuff that doesn't have sugar in it.
Here's the
thing. Okay, here's peanut butter.
You just need to be looking at this and I don't want you to get into having to portion control and do all that crap that is so not necessary, because you have that sense of hunger that can do it for you. But you do need to be aware of, how much sugar is in the food that we do eat that's prepared and packaged for us. Yeah. So if you look at different types of peanut butter, obviously there's taste here. Yeah. And reintroduce food in a way that you want to be able to do forever. So if you're not the type of person that wants to buy all natural peanut butter and you don't like it, you're going to waste your money buying it and pretending like you're going to eat it. So you might as well buy the peanut butter that you really will eat and like. Yeah. But if it's got higher sugar content, you just need to know that your portion may be not a tablespoon, maybe a little less than that. Yeah. So that you're not getting too much sugar.
Yeah,
so
I'll have to look. I like almond butter.
Almond butter is fabulous. Yeah. So there's something I want to make sure I make you aware of, that the sense of hunger, if you're really good at it, you have become a master at the movement of it. Usually if you go to sugar first, it's not that you're not capable of keeping your hormones balanced with sugar. It's the fact that you may not have the skill set to understand that reaction yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I sometimes, based on in the past too, it makes me hungrier.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't have a really long-lasting signal. Yeah. Fat, on the other hand, stimulates leptin, and it's a very long-lasting signal. And this is part of the learning curve of the second phase, or P3, is that we want you to learn how fat affects your system, this hunger rhythm. Yeah. And you are going to be shocked that your need for food may be less than what it is right now. Wow. With the addition of fat, even though HCG is gone.
Wow. Oh,
for a while.
The fat back in.
It's a couple of things, because it's not necessarily authentic. Your fat cells are hyperactive right now, and they're going to be hyperactive a week to 2 weeks into the second phase. And so by the end of your third week, you'll notice that your food intake is definitely getting to be a higher level than it was from the very low calorie protocol. But the first week, don't be surprised if it's like a piece of string cheese, a handful of nuts, an egg, an apple, and
When I think maintaining that, in the right level of the hunger scale, because I know now if I, grab something when I'm at a 4 or like 3.75, for me, it's a little bit better than if I wait, you know.
Yeah, well, because it may be on a steep slope.
Yeah.
So if you go 3.75, you're going to catch it by 3.2, come back up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just you getting to know your body. You know, that's kind of when I say 3.5, everybody needs to know their range within that.